There are four basic types of data in Python. There are strings, integers, floats, and booleans. Before we actually get to learning what they are, we need to know what a variable is first. So a variable is simply put a container that holds a value or item. You can think of it as a jar holding cookies or a piggy bank holding coins, where the jar is the variable, the container that holds the value or item of cookies. An example of this would be like naming the variable dog and assigning a value of German Shepherd, where the dog is the variable and this thing within the quotes is considered the value. So what is a string? Strings are a text data type. You can use your characters like your alphabet A, B, C, D. You can use your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can even use symbols. So let's get started. We'll create a variable name and create a string. So with strings, you can assign one by using either a single quotation, a double quotation, or a triple quotation. So first we'll use a single quotation, Bob. Now we'll create a street variable, and we'll use the double quotations here, and we'll name it 123 Sesame Street. Here I've added in a number, but it is not considered a numerical number, but a text data type because it's part of a string. And lastly, we'll add in job variable and we'll do triple quotations and teacher. Then if we were to print them all out, we'll use the print variable, the print command I meant, and we'll add in our variable name inside here, inside the brackets, and we'll do the same for the others. So print street, and then print job. Then if we were to run this command, it'll print out the value that was inside of the variable. Bob 123 Sesame Street and teacher. Another thing you can do is inside of the brackets, you can once again you can either use single or double quotations, but for now I'll use the single quotations, and we can add in a sentence or a statement before the actual variable. So then you can put your name is, and here we add a comma and a space. And if to run this, now it'll add in the statement we've added plus our variable name. Another way you can do it is, once again, you add a statement in here, but this time instead of using a comma, we will be using a plus sign. Then we run it again, and now it'll do you live in 123 Sesame Street. Make sure you add in a space here, so it'll fix this problem right there. Then if you run it again, there you go, it's fixed. And to know that it is a string, we will use another command inside print called type. So we'll add in type, opening bracket, and another closing bracket afterwards. Because if you add only one bracket there, it'll create an error that it was never closed. So we have to add another closing bracket. For every one bracket, there must be another bracket that closes it. So there's one here, which was its opening. We have another opening for this one. And if we close the type command using a closing bracket, and we close another one for the print. So once again, to know that this is a string, we will add in type, bracket, our variable, then another bracket, and another bracket. And if we were to run it again, we would know that it is a class string. So now we'll learn what a integer is. So integers are a numeric data type. With integers, you are only able to use whole numbers that can be positive or negative. So we can think of it, and they also don't need quotations at all. So let's say, let's create a value of something that uses numbers. So let's say um, family, there's 3 of you. Um, your grade, your classes, so how many you have? You have 8 classes, let's say. And then your age, let's put in like 23. Yeah. So these are all considered an integer numeric data type. And once again, you can still print out the same as previously, and it would still print out the value that's being held inside the variable. And to know that it is a integer, we will use the type function again, and then we'll run it again. Then it'll show us that it is class int, which is short for integer. And once again, if you are unsure that we cannot use negative numbers, if we were to put a negative there, then we run it again, it would still be considered a class int. Okay. With floats, floats are also a numeric data type, with the only difference being that it is able to hold decimals, unlike integers. So they still have the same where it can hold a negative and positive numbers, but this time they're able to hold decimals within them as well. So numbers that uses decimals are like the pi, so pi symbol 3.1415926. And we can use a negative value, so let's do gravity, which is negative 9.8. And if we're to print pi and print gravity, they should still print the same as every others, and it'll even tell you that it is also a float value. See, there we go. Lastly, a Boolean type. A Boolean is a Boolean type. So Boolean is a Boolean type data. That means it uses true or false statements instead. So an example of that is like, do you, let's say, um is there electricity? So like, let's put in electricity is equal to true. Let's say the TV is false, and then we can use an a dog, again, false. So how I use them is using the print command again. Then we'll ask a question. So like, do you have electricity? Then we'll use our comma electricity. You probably shorten this a bit better. So let's do elect, so it'll be a bit shorter. Now we can do again for the other one. So print is the TV, oh, is the TV on? And we can use our other one. So make sure you add a space there, a plus sign, then TV. And then we can, once again, we can do print. Do you have a dog? And then we can do a comma again, then dog. So when it'll be printed, it should say true or false. Okay, so there here is an error, but don't worry, it's a solvable error. So when it says concatenate, so meaning it cannot be put together with another um, another value other than itself, so a string and a string, because this is considered a string here, and this is considered a boolean. But the way to fix that is called typecasting. So we will also turn this also into a string, and make sure you also add another bracket, closing bracket for one there. So if we're to print this, and boom, do you have electricity? True. Is the TV on? False. Do you have a dog? False. With the typecasting, so you can also change it using X. So we can use an int and turn it then into a float. So we float, we do X. So then by doing that, if we were to print type our X and then print type our Y, that will show us, oh, let me just, now it will show us that previously it was an integer and now it has become a float. And you also do same vice versa, by turning this a float into an integer. There we go.